Alright guys, section 8.1, the Industrial Revolution. This is a very short section. It's more or less an introduction to this unit. And yeah, so it's going to be pretty short. And there's actually a video that you'll watch that accompanies the podcast. They, again, give you kind of an introduction to this movement, which arguably is the most impactful on our world today, and it's something that you study in American history, but the start of it is in Europe. So first of all, what is the Industrial Revolution? Chronologically, it's a late 18th and early 19th century movement in which machines begin to replace human and animal power in the production and manufacturing of goods. So quite simply, it is a revolution in the way products are made. Instead of human talent and animal power, now it's machine capability that will create goods. It also marks a transition from an agricultural and commercial society, something that we have seen, the combination of rural areas, agricultural revolution, enclosure movement, things of that nature, and combine that with a commercial system based on artisans and shopkeepers and the like, and your labor industrial force. That's transforming into a modern industrial society, something that looks a lot like our world today. So it's a huge transition in the way goods are made. So how does the movement begin? What are the roots of this industrial revolution? I'm sorry I'm in the dark. Let's see. Maybe that's better. That's much better. Now I have to hold this. I'm not sure I want to do that. Okay, well, it's pretty short video, so we're not here as ugly. Okay, there's our portrait of Piper. So my sister drew this. She's an artist, or she tries to be. No, actually, she's really good. And that's a portrait of Piper that she did and gave us for Christmas one year. So, like, that's Piper, and then here's the real deal. Here she is. Can you say hello to everyone? Do you want to talk about the Industrial Revolution? No? You don't? Okay. Well, here, you can sit with me. Okay, so, the roots of the Industrial Revolution. Okay, the first thing to know is that there's a couple of social classes here that make this movement happen. It's primarily, though, our merchant friends, our bourgeoisie friends. We go back to the commercial revolution, which is this explosion of business practices and trade practices and trade techniques, and business techniques, and all this new stuff that related to the growth of exploration and the need and the capability of expanding your economic empire after that. So this commercial revolution spurred economic growth in Europe during this time. Joint stock companies, the new banking practices, the Dutch and British East India Company, worldwide trading networks, triangular trade, all of these things, Columbian Exchange, all of these things fit in and give motivation for making, or trying at least, to make money. So it established the Atlantic trade networks, which set up the economic foundation by which the world even today in many ways exists. Now, when Spanish and other countries bring all this wealth back in, all this bullion back into society and into the economy, you've got much more of it in circulation. That's going to raise prices. Remember how, like we talked about, how like you have more of that currency in an economic system. It's one of, like, a singular unit of that currency is going to lose value, right? So prices are going to go up because there's more wealth out there, right? The value of something stays the same, but there's more wealth that can account for it. So prices go up, and when prices go up, it leads to a greater motive to produce goods to sell, because, you know, at least you're going to have more money. Yes, the value is the same, but perhaps the value drops a little bit, and then you have that money that you made. So the higher prices leads to a greater motive to produce goods to sell, and that leads to the incentive, again, to create your own business, to invest your own money, and it leads to the idea of capitalism. So why is this important? It's a development of a market economy that even before Adam Smith talks about capitalism, you have the foundation of capitalism. And it tells the merchants that you can afford to get creative in order to make money, because if you get, lucky or you are successful, you're going to do very well for yourself because of the increased demand that's out there. So keep that in mind, is that the merchants are motivated to try to make money because of the growth of business that has started with the commercial revolution. Now, our peasant friends. And I love these guys. I mean, this guy is awesome. Look at him. He is fun. We got some bread. Here's Mama with Maisie. Grandma here. This guy. And then we got a serial killer coming in from outside to kill everyone. So, oh, and Meow, look at the cat. Piper, come here. Piper. Piper, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Look, Piper, it's a cat. Look. Look. It's a cat. It's a cat. 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 It's a cat. Do you see the cat? Do you see the cat? Piper is not interested. Okay, so the peasants, what role do they have in this industrial revolution beginning? Well, let's think back. What do? They work on the land. Eventually, though, in England, excuse me, you have this thing called the enclosure movement, in which fences go up. The nobles commercialize agriculture to make money from it. Fences go up. Many peasants lose their ability to work their land, and some move to cities, right? And they're going to become urban workers in different industries there. Some, however, stay in the rural areas, even with the fences up, but they need a supplemental income. And that brings us to, very excited to hear about the cottage industry, right? So the cottage industry, the merchants come in, they bring a raw material, and the peasants create the good inside of their house, or the product, right? Many cases that product would be textiles or some sort of clothing. And the merchants would bring these tools like power looms and water looms and all these things. Spinning jennies. There's several names for these pre-industrial devices. So they bring all these in, and the peasants would get the training, and they create all the goods. But for the merchants, this wasn't the best system, because they would have to go from house to house to house to house to house for merchant or peasant family to get all the goods that they need. So it was very inefficient for the merchants. So again, the merchants, having the motivation to do things to try to make more money, decide, well, we're not going to go to the labor to create our textiles. We're going to get the labor to come to us. And hello, we have a new thing called a factory, a singular building that will create a product made from the hands of people using machines to create, again, that final good. And the primary use for many of these early factories are textiles, okay? Textiles is the key. And these factories are going to transform not only how the economics work, they're going to transform how social status works in our social pyramid. It's going to change how people deal with one another on a day-to-day basis. It's going to change the nature of work. It's going to change the nature of how governments relate to their people. It is an extraordinarily transformative movement, and it's not just about making things. It changes it all. Right, Piper? This is Piper's toy. It changes it all. So I'm going to leave you with this link. You can access it. I doubt you can click the screen, but I think Maisie just woke up. I'm going to be in trouble. I'm recording this at night. I'm in the room next door to her, and I might have just woken her up, and I might get murdered for that. So it's been nice knowing you. Oh crap, she's awake. Last thing. This is in the Unit 8 playlist, so watch this video. You'll see it, okay? It's there. It's like 8 minutes. Watch that too. And then we'll go on to 8.2. So, bye. It's been nice knowing you.